View's Whoopi Goldberg hit out against political correctness yesterday. Let's watch.
There has to be a book of stuff nobody could ever say.
And then we could all study.
Ever, ever, ever.
Then the book would be banned.
Include everything. Include everything. Because I tell you, the things that change, you can say this, but you can't say that. But next week you might not be able to say this. It's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up. And if you're a person of a certain age, there's stuff we do and we say. You know what I'm saying. And it's also, and you have no idea until somebody says, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
You should know that just because we're on television, wherever we are, whoever we're talking about, just because we're on television doesn't mean we know everything. We don't know everything you're not supposed to do. And if there's something someone says, if you're not going to give them the opportunity to explain why they said it, at least give them the grace of saying, you know what, I've just been informed that I should not have done that, as opposed to, you're out.
That rant was in response to the removal of a Mississippi news anchor who was removed for quoting Snoop Dogg live on air. Let's actually go ahead and play that before we discuss.
Up with.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Before we know it, she'd have a Snoop Dogg tattoo on her shoulder.
For shizzle, my nizzle.
I'm telling you. Julie, what do you think about that? Huh.
So the Apparently That reporter, who's been at that station for about 20 years, was fired for using a phrase that was popularized by Snoop Dogg in last decade plus or so.
I had no idea what the origin of that phrase even was until you told me about 40 seconds ago.
Yeah, I never even thought about it that hard, but of course, technically, it means for sure my N-word. So technically, I mean, the idea that she's being fired for using the N-word, sort of.
It's so dumb.
But I do think it's one of those things that you don't think about that hard. And Whoopi is kind of right. This woman's real crime is being a Gen Xer who was probably out here in the streets and the clubs when that phrase was ubiquitous.
I can recall hearing people say that a lot. A lot.
I don't remember, and it
without any malice intended.
Yeah, it was a different time, and I can't say for sure if I remember there being a discussion about, do white people say it or seeing white people say it, but it was not treated
about stuff like that.
It was in no way treated with the same gravity as the actual N-word at any point. At any point. So even if it were an accident, I think Whoopi is right. If you stumble across a new social boundary and we decide, okay, it is a little cringe for a white lady to be using a word that is derived from the N-word. Okay, fine. Do we need to fire her, or do we just give a warning and then she apologized on air? Shouldn't that just be the end of it?
Was anyone calling for her to be disciplined for this?
No.
I assume no.
As far as I saw,
managers are so risk averse. So I can assume I can picture either they get one hostile comment about this somewhere on the segment online or on Twitter or something. A manager sees and is like, oh, we have to take action. Everyone's alarmed. Everyone's mad. Or the DEI HR type person is like, no, we have to take action. So there's not some kind of claim.
Yeah, as far as I saw, and this was all over black media. Folks were not wanting her to get fired. People thought it was kind of amusing, and I saw very little in the way of people thinking that the consequence for this should be firing. So again, it just really begs the question, who is this angering and who is it for? From a labor perspective, it's really disturbing to think that people's whole careers go down the drain because of one off-color comment that is maybe not even off-color. It is not intended with malice. It's a sorry state of affairs, and I think it really does point to the fact that while so much of this politically incorrect stuff is painted as partisan issues, this stuff isn't. We're all living in a society where norms are changing, and they catch people up in bad ways all the time across the ideological spectrum. And I do wish sometimes we could put some of the ideological stuff aside, the partisan stuff aside, so we can have a conversation as a community about how we want to deal with situations like this without being like, well, it's cancel culture, well, it's not cancel culture. Right. Well, I believe cancel culture is real, so I'm going to deny that this was an issue. No, if we just talk about it on a case-by-case basis, I think that we all pretty much agree 90% of the time.
Well, right, and what Whoopi said there was very perceptive. We talk the ladies on The View do this, you and I do this. We talk for hours every day. We don't know everything. We try to bring on experts for things we particularly don't know as much about. But yeah, you can say something that's wrong. You can misspeak. You could inadvertently, unintentionally say something that's offensive. And I understand holding public figures or media figures to a higher bar than your average person. I think this is even crazier if the convenience store cashier or something says that phrase and gets fired over it. Like, that's even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
for shizzle.
For shizzle, right? The for shizzle part's not the even potentially problematic part. For shizzle. So yeah, I think it's a nice reminder that political correctness gone amok is like an 85% we all agree issue, where we all find this annoying, and people lose their jobs too easily, or they get expelled, or they get fired, or horrible media figures go looking for things they said when they were little that were offensive. What if they went searching for her social media history from 20 years ago, and they find out she was 16 and she first sold something and try to get her. That stuff happens all the time.
Her social media, I bet you money, is all like "What's up?" commercials. She seems like she was really plugged in.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Look, best of wishes to this woman. I hope that she lands on her feet. I hope that there is a public response that buoys her, and they consider not having any professional consequences against her. And shout out to the women of The View for landing correctly on this one. By the way, what do you make of Whoopi Goldberg's idea of let there be a list? Let there be a list.
So we know what we're not.
And you can hold me accountable to the list, but that way, if I make a mistake, you can't fire me because this list is a protection.
Just tell us the rules.
Yeah.
Of course. Now, some people do make these lists. They're called university what you can say commissions. Remember those fun things?
Yeah.
Where they said
no grandfathered in. No rule of thumb.
No Karen.
No Karen.
Remember they said, say problematic white lady instead? It was more offensive. They racialized Karen.
Right.
These idiots who try to purport to say what we're going to say. The same people after Agatha Christie and Roald Dahl and Ian Fleming and all the rest.
Yeah. Well, this Mississippi newscaster is one problematic white woman I stand by.
Oh, for shizzle.
More rising after this.